Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Captain Guillermo. I'm the APM for Aviation Mission Planning System. With me, I have my team, George Goodman, our program integrator, Melinda Meyer, our technical lead, and Eric Arnell, our logistician. And sir, I would like to say thank you to Quad A, General Sinclair, for inviting us to brief our program. Next slide. Our agenda will be focusing on the current status of AMPS and also our future developments. Next slide. AMPS is a planning and battle synchronization tool which automates aviation mission planning tasks and supported aviation platforms. AMPS imports any information from the Army Command Mission Command System and is used to complete route generation, performance planning, communication plannings, and terrain analysis. AMPS can also be used for mission rehearsal, data transfer to the aircraft, and facilitate after-action review. Next slide. We currently have 7.5.11 and 7.5.9 software in the field. 7.5.11 primarily focuses on H64 Echo version 4 and CH47 Fox 9.2. And all other users are using the 7.5.9 and until ready to upgrade for the next version. For hardware, we're currently using an almost 5 years old Miltope with a refresh schedule in FY18 and 19. For service support, AMPS has changed the format of the FSR deployment to a centralized system to better serve the Army. And we're really happy to hear some feedback. If you could, our website and also our help desk, you guys can give us some feedback so that we can improve our program. Next slide. Our next software update, 7.62, will contain the Experience Planner or the X-Plan, scheduled to field in third quarter FY17. One of the major change is the capability to plan multiple aircraft types, multiple routes, multiple segments to the route. In addition, PO Aviation is an early adapter of the implementation of Windows 10 operating system. AMPS is currently working in that adapting Windows 10 operating system for the 64-bit applications and also enhancing the cyber security features. For hardware, the AMPS Program Office is proposing courses of action to replace the Miltope ruggedized system into a less ruggedized system. Bottom line up front, we will provide computers that will increase performance, Windows 10 compliance, and user-friendly with comfort and functional design. Expect the Army Mission Planning Central, AMPC, to migrate from SharePort 2013, or correction, from 2010 to 2013. So the capability of external user of authenticating or using the authenticator from AKO will be affected. So we understand that AMPS user needs to access that through our AMPC for downloading map data, DAFIF, and that's why we're evaluating now in order for us to have that form or either a web-based or a paper form, and we'll push it out in the information via email, the help desk phone number, or we're going to put a note on the AMP website. In this brief, we'll be showing two new tools for the AMPS, the Mission Planning System Updater, the MIPSU, and the Tactical Graphics Editor tool. I call them time savers, and we'll go more in detail in the brief. Next slide. So the MIPSU, or the EC button, keeps your system up to date with the latest data from NGA. This feature will benefit especially those inexperienced users. So these slides will show a demo of updating a DAFIF future size. A future cycle. So we understand the DAFIF has a 28-day cycle. So I put this as a scenario. So on the bottom right corner of the system, you'll see that icon with the with an earth with a magnifying glass, you'll have some option, either data status or update now. Update now, the whole system is going to be updated, the maps, day 5th, vertical obstructions, or you can click on the data status where you can select, on this scenario again, is the day 5th. The system will show you which one are expired, when was the last update. And next slide. After you click that, there will be a user interface box that will say communicating to NGA what are the necessary files that needs to be updated, and also the status of the installation into that system. Next slide. The Tactical Graphics Editor tool, or TGET. The TGET tool has been updated to provide greater flexibility in the manipulation of a MIL standard 2525 tactical graphics. For a mission rehearsal standpoint, what I usually do before is whenever I'm about to brief the brigade or battalion commander on air mission brief, I will do a screenshot of PFPS and migrate that to a PowerPoint because it's easier to manipulate graphics, draw a line, draw face lines there. And I like this feature with the TGET because it has that similar functionality of the Microsoft drawing tool. I can do some enhancing editing with the multi-clicking to create lines or face lines. I can do areas or engagement areas. I can pick a circle so that you can make a RAWs, and rotate the image and right-click or double-click to end and edit. TGET also has the capability to import mission files. So I like this tool where the route editor tool, you just click on that and it will migrate your ACP or your control or your air corridors. Unlike before, you have to manually each of the points, you got to draw a circle or draw a line. So there will be some simplified questions like what is the width of the corridor, what is the minimum and maximum altitude, daytime group, when it started or when it's not, and it will just automatically create that for you. Another feedback that we incorporated with TGET is the history box. So as you can see, there's some historical actions, and then you can select single action or multiple actions that you can undo or redo. So, and we're also scheduled for our next user test event next month, and we're really excited because we're going to show this to the users in order for them to have a feel, get it tested so that we can incorporate the improvements or changing the design. Next slide. Again, we are projecting to field our hardware refresh in second quarter FY18 with the following factors. One is ruggedized versus less ruggedized. The second one is the form factors, maybe a keyboard solutions, maybe trackball or a mouse or a wider screen or maybe a number keypad that you can use. And the last factor is increased performance because we wanted to address the Windows 10 compliance and improve processor for software growth and better internals for future capabilities. Next slide. Falcon View update. So this shows the difference between the PFPS and X-Plan. So based from my experience before, First Lieutenant Guillermo, I do the trial and error method. If I'm looking the route tool, I'll be clicking a trial and error here and hoping that will be the right icon. Now, the ribbon bars are organized into logical categories, easier to find, and it's labeled. And then the ribbon bar is collapsible, hideable, and dockable as shown in the screen on the right. Next slide. Again, another breakdown of different ribbon bars, similar to Microsoft Office, organized and labeled. Next slide. So we compiled the frequently asked questions, and I'll give you a sec to read it while we go through the questions. So first is, why can't I get amps on the network? So the answer to that is whenever a local NEC do its scan on the system for security updates, the AMP's firewall, or we call it solid core, treat that scan to be a malicious attack. And that's why it is really important to have that authority to operate and certificate of networthiness updated and for that system to be on the local network. Number two, why can I update my AMPs with programs that I need? So straightforward answer. So any programs or applications that you would like to be installed into your system, to your computer, it has to be vetted first into the AMPS program office. So it has to be approved, tested, and released by us. So that we don't break, or so if we change any configuration on the system, we're going to invalidate the certification of the system. Third question, when is the AMPS release with XPlan going to be fielded? So our next version of AMPS 7.62, we are finalizing our material release at this moment. Our package is actually with AMCOM right now. We have user acceptance from TRADOC. We are in coordination with FORSCOM and National Guard. And as soon as we get all of these requirements, we are going to be talking to the rest of the unit so that we can schedule our fielding plan. Expect that very soon in next year. Next slide. The last question, why does it take so long to update the system with data products? Again, we are developing that quick data loader tool, or the MIPSU, so that we can, the system, you can easily just click on that, get the information that you need or all from NGA and install it automatically into the system. Next slide. And if you have any questions, go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Steve Furlong from NTC. I've got 4, actually. So with the TGET integration, I'd like to know if it's going to be able to integrate seamlessly into CPOF as well as JCR, since that's a new and upcoming system that's been around for a couple years now, and FA TADS as well, to send and receive those updates through the Army Interoperability Module. And then when will we see that functionality, sending that information through the Army Interoperability Module to JCR and FA TADS? And then finally, which is kind of a big thing with the ARSs and ARBs, being able to put that information from AMPS directly into the JCS software, whatever the current generation of it is. So, being able to put the airspace coordination order in there, being able to upload routes, mission graphics, that sort of thing, directly into the JCS.
Yeah. Good question, Mr. Long. I am going to defer that question.
I got one more question. Yeah. I'm sorry. And then that update tool, is that going to be able to work on SIPR as well? That might be an issue if we can't get that.
Okay, Ms. Melinda Meyer.
So let me see if I can take care of some of those questions for you on TGET. TGET uses the same renderer that Mission Command uses for the tactical graphics. It supports 2525B, 2525B change 2, and 2525C. Yes, we are updating AIM to interact and be interoperable with TGET. That will be in AIM 6.1 version. So the answer to your question is yes, that is the plans for that. That I will be working with my AIM team on and with CTSF to make sure that we pass all of our threads for that. And your final question was for the MIPSU tool for working on SIPRNet. Yes, because we are also working in that for not only being able to point MIPSU to NGA to download data, but we're in communication with DSIGs to be able to point to DSIGs to get our data. We have been in communication with the UAS PM office to make sure that we are tracking their requirements for data and message transfer. And we have a requirement that we are tracking with them to combine the AIM component for UAS with the US standard AIM component. So that is in the books and is in the planning stages as well. Any other thing I can help you with?
We have a question sent to rear.
I think we got 2 thumbs up from Warrant Officer.
Yeah, and I'm going to call my team also at the front so it's easier.
CW5 Sky Bruce as that team at Fort Rucker. Had a question about the material release. I know there were some RAM testing issues that hadn't been resolved. Is it going to be a conditional release or a full material release?
Right now, the 762 is going to be a conditional material release. We are expecting, hopefully, we'll get it very soon. I'm not going to make promises, but it's coming, and we will have some new TTPs that will be coming here in order for us, or actually 7.63. Hopefully, we can have that software fixes on that 762 just right next to it. Did I answer your question, sir? Yeah.
Next question, left rear.
CB3 Chuck Myers. 101 cab is using tablets in all of our cockpits right now, and I know a lot of other cabs are going that way. 10th cab is looking to field tablets pretty soon. 25th cab just got a bunch of tablets in. Right now, we still use AMPS as our primary mission planning system, obviously, but now we have to take all the products from AMPS. We have to put them onto another PC, and then we have to get them off of that PC onto a tablet to be able to get our mission data ready for execution. And my question for you is are we looking down the line of, I know that PM AMPS doesn't have a requirement for tablet support, and that requirement is going to be kind of a little loose at first because we don't know if you're supporting a Droid OS, a Windows tablet OS, an iDevice. How are we handling that, or are we handling that
Yes.
In the future?
So actually, we're in talks right now with TICAM-AB in massaging that requirements there. I know we have some environmental issues like temperatures, but we're really leaning forward here into the less ruggedized or the sheltered computer that we're proposing that. And I don't want to make some promises now, but we're leaning towards into that environment in buying that. Common hardware as we speak.
We got a comment over here. Hang on.
One thing you guys got to remember, TICAM-AB is our requirements, and everybody's familiar with TICAM-AB. If you have a requirement that you'd like incorporated in AMPS, please go see TICAM-AB, because as you know, these are, and I've heard about the tablets, but we have to work through them with the requirements. So we have heard about the different things you want, but wanting and getting it approved and into a requirement is what we need to wait on. So if you have these good ideas, make sure you're sharing that with TICAM.
And definitely, I'm going to pass that information to with TICAM-AB.
Okay.
The tablets are a nice Band-Aid, but I mean, until all the aircraft have some sort of common operating system where we can put stuff into, I mean, the tablets are great, but we need to get focused towards getting that stuff into the aircraft, the stuff that we need. So all the draw files, and the only one that's got that right now is the 47F. So I mean, I think as we look at the software for those aircraft, they got to get more common operating.
I agree, sir.
Right front.
CW3 Scott Peterson from Army South. As X-Plane gets fielded, and I hope it does, I've been hearing this for like 3-4 years, and I tested last December and I was told it would be here. But that's a different story. How are you guys working with the EDM rep to make sure that the EDM is compatible with X-Plan for the Blackhawks that are still flying with it? And then I had a second one, but I forgot it already. That's not
Next question, left rear.
No,
Give me a
not
second.
yet. Not yet.
Hang on a second.
So let me take your first question, and while I answer it, maybe you'll remember the second. For the EDM compatibility, there's two things that I want you to know about. One, we are working on an EDM translator to go between the X-Plan software, the component within AMPS called X-Plan, and EDM, as EDM Program Office migrates to embedding the X-Plan software in the ISAS software that they deliver. So as they move and migrate to importing and moving forward with the next version of Falcon View and X-Plan in their ISAS software and move forward with that, we're bridging that gap with a EDM translator tool. Secondly, the file versions of draw and points files and the additional files that need to be transferred between AMPS and the EDM can all be done with a save as capability from what the new version of AMPS has and what the EDM ingests right now. So the files that you need to transfer across from the AMPS to the EDM are all capable of being transferred across as is right now by doing a save as function to their legacy format.
Okay, left rear.
CW2 Warner, 23 GSAB. My question is really about the neck. Previous question, you said each neck has a specific requirement. It seems from the user that it's always on the company or battalion level AMSO to push up that information to the area neck to explain to them why it's allowed on the network. My question is, can your office dialogue with Cyber Command so that way it comes from the top down and it's not an uphill fight for us?
Okay, we've been out to Netcom and saw the wizard at their building. No good answers. You know, like I said, each neck is an island. I also handle CAFRs, which we've dealt with the same issues. Even though 7 signal, you know, pushes down information to the individual signal brigades, everybody does their own thing. And just like with AMPS, with Solid Core, because they can't scan it, they kick it off the network. That's why we're looking at HBSS and trying to become HBSS compliant. But once again, we have to protect our certification for AMPS. So we're just continually fighting the same battle. We feel your pain. We're not indifferent to it. We're trying to resolve it. But we do have an ATO and a con. And until you go and talk to individual necks, which I've been to some of them, and try to explain it to them, there's no easy solution. It's an individual battle with each neck. And if someone's got a solution that they're willing to share, when I was here last year, we had some AMSOs that said, well, I was able to get on the network, and then they're trying to, and that's what you guys need to do is talk to someone yourself and share some of the information, share it with us so we can pass it around. There are some good people out there. I've worked with some of them at Fort Bragg that are able to crack the nut and get on the network in some instances, but then some installations can't. So it's more, you know, if we can share that information, that is helpful.
Left rear still.
If that's the case, you must continue to bottom up fight this. Is there a way that you guys can push out talking points that we can use to talk to the neck with so that we can speak a language that they understand?
Absolutely.
Could you repeat the question because it won't be on the video?
Hi, Steve for McGlone from RE Central. So if we want to continue to push from the companies up to the necks to fight the battle to get our systems online, can you push out talking points that we could use when we speak with the necks so that it's in a language that they understand so that we're not trying to fiddle-faddle, come up with something that they try to understand the terms that we're trying to get to? Because I think most of our battles we're like, it's an Army system. It's a mission command system. Why are we fighting this battle to get a mission command system online when it seems like our TAS brethren, AFATAS, stuff like that, seem like they get on just like this, but AMPS is an issue?
Roger, we're going to bring up those talking points.
And from the program office, we also have IA support. And if you have a specific issue of documentation that you need, you can reach back to the program office and request support from us. So Just want you to know that you can get that from our office. If you have a document that you need, we've done this many, many times for different units that have had difficulties with their neck, needing documentation above and beyond what is standard. We've worked through those issues. Contact the help desk, give them what you need, let them get to our office, and we will help you through that.
Left rear.
Sir, Mr. Brilla, third cab. Just with the hardware coming out in FY18 and our current hardware warranty up essentially this year, to bridge that gap, what are we doing for warranty on the Miltopes, as well as how are we going to, what's the process to send our hardware back to get fixed and then send it back to us?
Okay. I'm going to defer that to our logistician.
I love this question. I don't have a good answer for you. The short answer is that the warranties are 60 months from manufacture. You can find the date that the warranties expire on the base plate of every Miltope computer. And we recognize that something like half of them are going to be expired by the end of 2017. And that's going to quickly drop off till they're all going to be expired by the end of 2018, which is when we're going to be ramping in the new hardware. In the meantime, the repair cost for your equipment will need to be covered by unit repair funds, and I see some smiles, in the same way that your motor pool replaces oil pans on the Humvees. There's costs that you would cover for soldier-induced repair that you've had to cover in the past. In the short gap span, as we're getting the new hardware out, that's a cost that we're forced to have the units have to cover. Is that, sir?
Right rear.
CW5 SIS 35th cab. You said the MIPSU is an update tool. Is it only available online?
The tool will work whether you have the data on a CD or whether you're networked to a link to go back to NGA. And as we work with DSIGs to get the data in the right format at DSIGs, we'll be able to point to DSIGs for the data.
Okay, so the disk update's not going to stop?
No, sir.
Okay. That's going to lead me to the second question, which is you said programs. I will no longer be able to use the ACIM to upload programs. So is the disk going to come out with ROC-V and CBAT-O at an absolute minimum? And what do I do about CBAT-C now? Because I'm not authorized extra computers to resource and man to get my requirements done.
So the CBAT and ROC-V are currently approved programs to be loaded because we have tested with those. There's an agreement right now for those programs to be loadable on AMPS. ASIM is still a program, a tool in AMPS that will load approved programs. So that is not going away. If it morphs to something new, we'll brief you about it before it happens. But we are not saying that if a tool that has been approved and given the requirement from TICM to support, and we've integrated into our system, that we're taking that capability away from you. What we're saying by the question that was up on the screen is, you can't load Candy Crush on your laptop. You can't choose a program that the AMPS office has not tested, integrated, and has been through TICM AB as an authorized program. That's what we mean by that statement.
Center rear.
CW5 Response again. Just a lesson learned I had when I was at Fort Campbell dealing with the neck, just to share the information. Even though we had the ATO and the con, They were trying to help us, but they weren't quite getting it. But when the word Stamus came up, because amps falls into the Stamus category apparently, they went from in the too hard to do category to instantly working out how we're going to do that. But another critical role was the amps SSR. He helped baseline all our systems, had that relationship with the neck, and unfortunately we've lost that capability, at the different installations to kind of facilitate that relationship. So is the help desk able to do anything similar to establish those relationships with these necks to kind of facilitate that?
Absolutely is. And if it is necessary for us to send an FSR out to do work on a facility at a location, that capability exists and will remain in place to do so. Just because our FSRs are centrally located does not mean that they do not travel. And I do remember the instance that you're talking about and the FSR that was there and all the work that he did do to baseline those systems. I remember it very well. So I thank you for bringing that up, and he did a great job at that.
If there's a program that we'd like to get validated to install onto the amps like ERDAS, what's the process for that?
The process is to speak with TICM-AB, your user rep, and go through them to identify the need for that and work with them to identify the requirement.
And along with that, we also ask any third party, make sure you have a con or an ATO, so we can, because we have to go through the RMF process, and we'd like to limit our vulnerabilities by making sure everything's certified.
So with ERDAS, one of the things to think about as you're providing the information to TICM-AB, are there licensing costs? Who would pay those licensing costs? What's the maintenance fees on that? Make sure that you have all that information.
Just a comment on the ERDAS. So Army is apparently going away from ERDAS. The new program that our topo folks use is called ENVI. So if we're going to pursue mapping programs, leverage your topo shop. They can do user-defined maps to be able to load into the AMPS machine. But probably the way forward for mapping, if we're going to put it on AMPS, is probably ENVI because it is an Army program of record.
Okay, it seems like might be about it.
Well, we appreciate Captain Guillermo and the whole product office. Thank you. So let's give them a round of applause.